Clovis, what are you doing in there? What? That is weird. That is weird. Clovis. Oh my God. Oh my God.
I am James ALOFS. I left the big city to build an off-grid homestead on 40 acres of Canadian wilderness. This area of Ontario has giant ridgelines, deep valleys, and pure rivers. Black bears, gray wolves, mountain lions, moose, and many forest spirits share the land. I started in November 2023. Starting with a modest 12 by 16 foot guest cabin, my goal is to build such a glorious homestead that I attract a magnificent wife, have several military-grade babies, and raise our Swiss mountain dog, Clovis. Welcome to Wild Homestead.
In terms of the long term, the big things that we're building on, after kind of doing some more work on the forest gym last week, I decided that, you know what, that's not the best thing to build next. We've got the equipment. I'm just going to tarp it up in the driveway and wait until we can do that. But I think we really need to take care of our tools first. So the ATV garage, we'll build that, get the ATV covered, as well as I think we'll store all of our chainsaws and forestry equipment in there. Then to do the tractor barn, the tractor is going to be getting here in 2 weeks. We want to get that and all those implements covered so that it's safe and we can use them all throughout the wintertime without being full of gunk. Then 3, the sawmill barn and tool shed, because these things are a combo together. If we get all of our tools covered and prepared for winter first, that means, especially with the tractor, having a bucket and a snowblower, we should be able to keep this whole site back here plowed and clear, and that'll allow us to work through the winter and we won't be paralyzed like we were last winter. So I think these things are the priority, and these are all relatively simple structures in that they're just basically posts and roofs. So we should be able to do them relatively quickly. And then I think after we do these is to go right into the addition on the cabin and get the plumbing done and whatnot, before fall and leading into winter, because we need to do plumbing for that. We're probably going to need to run up stuff from the riverside. Take care of your tools will take care of you.
The gods are with us!
Whoa. Are the bugs getting ya? Are the bugs getting ya? Huh? Come on. Go, look at that. God bless the reciprocating saw.
The firm's being run by a compulsive hoarder. You know, it's this big, old, ugly, spooky house, and he's all caked up in the middle, holding newspapers with the local news blaring, feeding Wonder Bread to raccoons.
Am I gonna do something?
Good morning. Hello. Hello.
Hello. Oh. Watch out. Watch out. Hey, don't lick my hand. You're licking the camera. Oh.
Dude! Holy cow! Yes!
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yes. Whoa!
No, this is for me. This is for me. Oh, back off. Back off. The dang tripod leg keeps getting stuck. You see that back one in the back corner? It's a little bit bent. It's been annoying, but thankfully I got this this multi-tool here from Victorinox. Victorinox is the sponsor of today's video. And I've been using this for, I think, the last 3 or 4 weeks. But anyways, it's just a great all-around tool. I use it to yank out that far leg when it gets stuck now. Victorinox, I've got very fond memories of these tools. Swiss Army knives, they're multi-tools. My favorite tool in them is actually the file. When I was like 9 years old, my mother and father, my sister and I, we rented a boat from a marina to go fishing for the day. We got stuck in this channel between 2 islands. The anchor rope was a steel chain, and for some reason it was like attached to the boat in a way where you couldn't just release the anchor chain and leave the anchor. So we got the anchor stuck. We were stuck in this channel. We called the marina. The marina was going to take 3 or 4 hours to come out and rescue us. But my mother, she had a Victorinox Swiss Army knife, and she literally sat there on the anchor chain filing away. It took her like 25 or 30 minutes, but she actually used this file to file through one of those metal links, and then we could cast off, you know, the anchor. So I have very fond memories. I can't tell you how good a multi-tool is on a homestead. You can just use it everywhere. But check out Victorinox's multi-tools, guys. They're really good. Ah. What are you doing over there, buddy? It's a nice cool spot.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Hey, don't eat those stones. What are you doing? Don't eat those stones. No, no. Clovis, don't eat those stones. Whoa, garter snake. Hey, buddy. He's also kind of blue. Like the one we saw last week. He's a lot smaller, though. Whoa, it's not coming out. There we go. Whoa. Oh, praise Odin. Nothing more refreshing. The milk of a maple tree. Oh, come on, bud. We got to return. We got to return the cement mixer before the store closes. Come on. Let's go. It's going to be close. Come on. Okay. Okay. Ready? Go. Go. Oh, gotta lift you. Gotta lift you.
One of the most extraordinary human beings in the late Roman Empire, without a doubt, was Theodora. She eventually became Empress of the Eastern Roman Empire. She married a guy named Justinian, who's now known as Justinian the Great. And to be honest, a big reason why Justinian is known as the Great is because of how intelligent and politically savvy Theodora was. She started out life as the daughter of a bear trainer at the Hippodrome in Constantinople. That's the long building where they would race chariots. Now, after her father unexpectedly died when she was a young lady, she was thrown out onto the streets with her mother and her sister, and apparently they became prostitutes to survive. Now, Theodora managed to work her way up and become an actress, and eventually even started touring the Eastern Roman Empire. She worked in Alexandria, she worked in Antioch, and eventually her network became so kind of broad that she was hired by the Roman military to become a spy. So she would pass on information, especially from people who were interacting and from the Persian Empire to the east, Rome's great rival at that time. And through this work, she eventually ended up meeting this guy named Justinian. And then when his uncle died, Justinian became emperor, but there was a big problem because Justinian wanted to marry Theodora, but everybody knew where Theodora came from. He had to pass a law to enable himself, a noble, to marry someone of non-noble birth. So that happened, and she became empress and very quickly became very respected for how politically savvy she was. She is probably best known for quelling the Nika riots. In Constantinople, probably more than 100,000 people rioting to a point where they were storming the royal palace. Justinian had a nervous breakdown. Incapacitated, Theodora took over, became very decisive, very ruthless, beat back the rioters from the palace, and over about a week, through her commands to the local Roman garrison, quelled the riots, reestablished order. The other thing she was known for was banning prostitution, which is unheard of in the ancient world because prostitution was just a normal part of society. But she was convinced, her terrible experiences as a young teenager working in prostitution, she was convinced that she wanted to abolish this, which she did, which was amazing. Now, after her death, it came back, but at least for a period of a few decades, apparently it was abolished. Now, she had a mixed record. Apparently, she was brutal with people who she did not believe were on her side, having them murdered, maybe even having her own sister murdered. She developed a torture pit in Constantinople that was a very deep and narrow hole. She had people thrown down there, and it was so narrow you couldn't sit down. And apparently after a few months, she would keep feeding them, but people would go blind and they would go insane and they get taken out. She had people kiss her feet whenever they came in to meet her in the throne room. So she had a mixed record. Was she good? Was she bad? Probably a little bit of both. She was at least extraordinary. That's one hell of a LinkedIn profile. Prostitute, actress, spy, empress. One of the most extraordinary people, I think, of all time, Empress Theodora of the late Roman Empire.
Nice. That's nice, man. That's a lot better. The other concrete columns that I had done, I kind of left it as kind of a mound on top, and it was kind of, a lot of them are kind of like crumbly. I think having it like super flat is actually the way to do it, and really do many, many passes, because it gets it kind of like creamy on top almost. This just looks like a much more solid, foundation for putting stuff on top of.
Okay. There's about a 2.5 inch width gap, so it's not perfectly square. You know, one of the problems is even if you set up your lines to be perfectly square, if there's any little kind of root or anything, a little rock, if it goes off in a little direction as soon as you start to drill, it'll be off by like 1 or 2 inches, right? But every single one is kind of like that. So you end up being 1 or 2 inches off, you know, kind of everywhere. And then you're in this kind of scenario. So 2 reasons I want to use these 6x8 beams. If we do have these beams down, it'll be easy to upgrade it in the future to have floor joists going across if we do want to put in a floor and have our ATV and gear up off the sand. The other reason is that I knew just from measuring the concrete piers that it was slightly off square. The nice thing with using these wide beams like this is that you can torque 1 inch this way, 1 inch that way, and you still have, you know, 90%, 95% of the beam right, you know, on the concrete pier, so that the structure you build on top of there is still going to be square. It's kind of tricky in that regard. I don't know if you guys have any tips on that, how to overcome that.
Oh, thank goodness. Thank goodness. Whoa. Holy cow. That's in there. Holy cow, man. Jeez Louise. This might be a little tricky. Whoa, 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 whoa. Dude! Uh-oh. Do we have enough thread on that one? We just need a little bit of thread on there. Nothing too much. Crud, 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 that's not gonna do it. Where's my multi-tool, man? It's usually in my pocket. Whoa. Found it. Clovis, were you hiding it? Come on. Oh, hello. Hello. Aye, King Clovis, King of the Franks. Any idea, guys, on how to tighten this better? I mean, it's pretty tricky. Yes. Okay. Honestly, for this whole ATV garage build, this is the part I was worried about the most because I've never used these anchors, but they're super cool. You just hammer down on them. This part expands, and then it's like a vice lock. What do they call these things? Power stud. Hey, that's what my fourth ex-wife used to call me. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Go. Oh, 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 oh. Nope. Don't be weird. Hey, that's my string line. Good boy. Yeah, chew on that stick. Good boy. Hello. Big boy. Holy cow. Watch out! Watch out!
Oh my goodness. What a miracle.
Nice. Totally random hodgepodge of leftover brackets from other projects. Okay, so the next step requires a decision about this tree. I don't want to cut it down. I really wanted to leave these two trees, you know, because it's just the remnants of the original wolf den. You know, back last February, when we just got the ATV, our first piece of machinery on the homestead, this was like, other than our tent, the original tent, not the one that burned down, this was our first kind of, you know, piece of shelter for the ATV, just cutting it into these clump of spruce trees. So to me, the wolf's den has a lot of emotional, you know, meaning to me. But I think, you know what, honestly, let's see what this looks like. I think we're going to be fine with the front beam, but the problem is the back support beam is going to probably, where's the other thing? Yeah, the back is not going to make it. So the next question is with the back of the ATV garage, AKA the wolf's den. I don't know if we're going to do it 6 feet or 7 feet. Because it's sitting a foot off the ground already, I'm leaning towards doing it 6 feet, so we've got a bit of a more of a slope. But if we do build in the floor eventually at some point to get all of our chainsaw tools and ATV off the ground, then 6 feet at the back might be a little bit tight. But, you know, I guess if you look at the ATV, you're not going to be standing up right at the front of it. Like, I'm 6'3", so I guess when you're sitting down on this thing, how tall are we exactly? So if we pull in and the back is 6 feet, how tall are we on this thing? So ooh, that's close, man. So we're just about 6 feet, but the 6 feet would be up there. It's probably going to be taller than 6 feet if we pull in. It'll be tight though. If we did it 7 feet, 7 feet is up here. The problem if we do 7 feet is if it's 9 feet in the front to 7 feet in the back, that's not a lot of slope, you know, to shed off snow because we get so much dang snow. But the thing is, it's like, even on the 12-12 pitch roof over there, which is a very steep slope, to be honest, until we had like those melting events where it got above freezing and the snow came off, most of that snow just sat up there too. Vegetables. I'm only eating these because people are yelling at me on the internet to eat vegetables. Let's see. Oh, we got a leftover kebab for Clovis. We got to take out the onions, though. I think someone mentioned you can't give onions to dogs. Clovis, sit. Okay. So folks, we got both of our end beams milled up. They're at 7 feet. I've decided to go for the full 7 feet. So we've got lots of headspace. We're just gonna have to make everything else here beefier than we made on Musashi's fire shed in terms of the cross diagonal supports and the rafters and everything. But this guy, I've cut him to 7 feet 6 inches, which accounts for being on the lower post over here. But I'm going to get a special bracket for here on the concrete that raises the post. I don't know how much it is. Is it half an inch, an inch? I don't know. But get this bracket, drill it in, and then set the post up before cutting it, because we might have to trim it some more. And the rafters, ladies and gentlemen, are going to be coming from right over there. Now we got to rush to clean all this up. We're supposed to have massive thunderstorms. It's gonna be cold tonight, buddy. You gotta get your blankets. We gotta get the blankets on you. So guys, finally ready to do the tractor reveal. I'm very happy to announce that the tractor we're going to get, after much feedback from everybody out there on the internet, is the L6060, the tractor with the cab. It was between the MX6000 and the L6060, but we decided to go with the L6060, folks. It was over with like 99% people voting for the L6060. It's a little bit more expensive, but having the cab, I think, is gonna be a game changer. The real story that sold me on it was one of my neighbors who's got an open cab Mahindra, and he's had this tractor for about 10 years. And he said that his hands have been so severely frostbitten from operating the open cab in the wintertime up here that he won't even drive his tractor in the winter. One of our neighbors has an enclosed cab John Deere 5 Series, and he literally hires that neighbor to come and blow all the snow off of his property. So he's like, for God's sakes, he's like, get the closed cab. He does a lot of forestry work on his homestead in the summertime. He's like, yeah, you're probably going to break, some glass. It's probably worth it in terms of the safety dimension, preventing, big trees from smashing into you because of these steel pillars here. So that's worth it. And then also, obviously for the winter time. And thank you, to Kubota Canada and our local dealer for lining us up with this amazing deal, getting this tractor at cost. We would be getting a used tractor if we weren't getting this sweet deal. And it's getting financed at 0%. So it's pretty sweet, ladies and gents. And thank you to Victorinox, the sponsor of today's video, because that little ad for our multi-tool literally was a sizable down payment on this tractor. So that made it possible. I don't talk about finances much here on the channel, but I did reveal in my year in review video from year one that, in Canada, it's very hard to get financing on rural land. Generally, you have to pay 100% cash. So when we started on Wild Homestead in December 2023, literally all of my cash, all of my savings went to buying the land. I started on day one with $5,000 in credit card debt. It was a tough choice to make, but I'm so glad that I took the leap. And many people don't realize that YouTube shares 70% of its ad revenue with the video creators. That's how YouTube works. That's how creators, can spend all of this time and energy making videos. Like, they should share the majority of the revenue, right? Because we're the ones that are making all the content for YouTube. But it's hard to make, good money off just YouTube ad revenue. You can make a living, with the kind of views that we're getting here on Wild Homestead, but many creators do these ads, right, for third-party brands, and that's really how you can make, a good chunk of money. I don't really like doing those ads. I maybe do one ad every 2 months or 3 months. I think they're annoying. People already get hit with the ads from YouTube, but every time I've needed to make a big purchase on Wild Homestead, purchasing my truck, my ATV, paying off my credit card debt early on, I would take an ad to do that. We paid the down payment on the tractor with that Victorinox ad, but going forward, it's a very manageable monthly payment, but still it's non-trivial. And to knock down that payment and hopefully pay off the tractor, early, to afford it and not live beyond our means, I've unfortunately had to take on a series of ads from a great Danish dental floss brand, and they're about 5 minutes long, and we're going to do the first ad today, ladies and gents. So, Danish dental floss is my...
Good Sir James, it is I, Gundabad the Dwarf. Not a single person wants to hear an ad about Danish dental floss. The dwarves have a proposition for you. If you travel to meet my cousin Gundolf the Dwarf in Jackson Hole, Wyoming this weekend, he will present you with an opportunity to pay for your tractor.
Jackson Hole, Wyoming? Isn't that like a 30-hour drive? How am I going to drive there and back in a weekend, man? That's going to be brutal.
Good Sir James, remember this. Gold is always guarded by a dragon.
Whoa. Well, ladies and gentlemen, looks like we'll be driving to the United States this weekend. Strength and honor to you all. May the gods bless you, both the old gods and the new. And remember, if a magical dwarf ever appears in your life and tells you to go meet his cousin in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, don't think about it. Just nod your head and say the following 7 words and 9.5 syllables. Ooga, booga.